from the age of 5 years old to 12 years old, I lived in nothing but fear. Every single day, I did not know what was going to happen in that household. So when I said that I felt safer on the streets, I felt safer because I had a little more control over what happened to me out there, even though anything could have happened to me out there. But I was willing to take that risk because it was better than being at home, getting whooped on and watching my mom get beat.
To have once been a criminal is no disgrace. To remain a criminal is the disgrace. I formerly was a criminal. I formerly was in prison. I'm not ashamed of that.
What's up, you guys? I want to thank you for joining us on another episode of I Used to Be a Criminal with your guy, Marlo, the Motivator. Today we have another terrific show. I got a special guest. His name is Joey Mason.
Oh, anything I say can and will be used against me, right?
It will not be used against you. It'll be used to help somebody else.
I like that part.
Thanks, Joey, for taking the time out your busy schedule. I can only imagine how busy you are to sit down and talk to my audience here. I used to be a criminal. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So yeah, Joey, on this show right here, I believe that it's important for people to know who they are, right? Sometimes in life, people make mistakes, or even as a kid, you have people always telling you who you are. You're not smart, you're dumb, and things like that. So what I like to do on this show is I like to have people introduce themselves and be proud of who they are. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the floor over to you and introduce yourself to the audience, let them know your name and what you currently do for a living.
Yeah, my name is Joey Mason. I am a community outreach worker for the Alameda County Probation. I'm the first person to get hired within a probation department to do this kind of work, as far as I know, throughout the United States. And just for those that may not know, I used to be a criminal.
Let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands, doing things which are good. So look, on this show, I have come to interview a lot of different individuals, right? And everybody have a different story, right? Some things are similar, but a lot of it have different areas, right? Like myself, as you know, I grew up in Oakland, in West Oakland, and I experienced a lot of trauma as a kid, growing all the way up to early adulthood. Can you talk to the audience a little bit about where you grew up at and how was your life growing up in your household?
Well, my household was nothing but violence, chaos, drug addiction. I grew up with a stepfather that was a drug addict, and he used to abuse my mother. He used to punish my brother and I. You never know what was going to happen in our household. We were on welfare most of the time. We were on Section 8 housing most of the time. We had food stamps, government cheese, the big chunks of bologna, these big old cans of peanut butter and jelly, which actually, that's why to this day I love peanut butter and jelly, but that's another story. But yeah, so basically that's how I grew up, and I didn't like being at home, so I ran away a lot.
Wow.
That's what I ended up doing. That was back when they would lock you up in juvenile hall for truancy and running away. So every chance I got from the age of 12 on, I ran away. I felt safer on the streets than I did in the household. And that's pretty much kind of how I grew up. I identified with people who had to struggle, had to learn how to survive. It wasn't even about right or wrong. It was about surviving. It was about doing things that is not right, but I did them anyway, just because I wanted to have something.
Interesting you say that. I was going to ask you, typically people can pinpoint times in their life or situations in their life that led them to go down the wrong path. Can you think back or reflect back in your life where the thing or the issue or whatever it was that led you to make the bad decision and continue to pursue after these illegal activities that you found yourself chasing?
10 years old, smoking weed, cigarettes, stealing from stores. Started doing a little bit of burglarizing. I'd steal those, remember returnable bottles back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd steal them from people's porches, take them to the grocery store, sell them, go back to that night, steal them from the grocery store and take them to the other grocery store.
Right, I hear you.
You're just straight scandalous, bro.
Right.
And I didn't think nothing of it. I did not think a thing about it. Never thought twice about it. The courtship of Eddie's father, the way he had that relationship with his son,
Right.
that's what I wanted. I was hungry for that as a kid growing up.
Wow, that's deep. You say that. You know, somebody right now going to watch this. Some kid is going to come across this video, and they're going to probably be able to. They may not know the character or the episode you're talking about, and maybe you could talk a little bit more about what you're explaining there. But it's people that's out here right now. They're hungry for that type of relationship with a father. Their father may be dead, may be in jail, and they want that relationship. So they tend to go to the streets and try to find it since daddy ain't around. Can you explain a little bit more about that relationship that you were talking about, that you've seen as a kid, that you wanted?
Yeah, I just I know that I wasn't going to get it at home. You know, we're supposed to be able to get our needs met in our home, and in a lot of cases that isn't the case, and it's unfortunate. But I can say this, that throughout from the age of 5 years old to 12 years old, I lived in nothing but fear. Every single day, I did not know what was going to happen in that household. So when I said that I felt safer on the streets, you know, I felt safer because I had a little more control over what happened to me out there.
Right.
Even though anything could have happened to me out there. But I was willing to take that risk because it was better than being at home getting whooped on and watching my mom get beat and the whole 9 yards. So I gave up, like a lot of the young men that I talked to at the Juvenile Justice Center. Like myself, I gave up. I gave up on the idea of having a good, righteous, grown man in my life.
Right.
I just gave up on it. I said, you know what? Whatever. So I had to figure it out myself. I had to figure out the hard way how to navigate, you know, basic things that a lot of people learned to, you know, they achieve those coping skills and those tools in their toolbox to deal with life situations. I had to figure it out all on my own.
You know, there comes a time in our life after going through so many different struggles and challenges, maybe in and out of jail, that we come to the realization that, you know, hey, man, it's time for me to put off this foolishness, right? I'm going to call it what it is, it's bullshit. Do you recall it when you decided to change up and you realized that it was time for you to make some different changes in your life and go after some social pursuits instead of anti?
Oh, yeah, real simple. The day that the judge sentenced me to 25 years to life, and I looked back at my wife and my family, her family, and I saw the pain and the pain that they were going through. I felt the pain that I was going through when he gave me 25 years to life. My life changed forever right then and there. But I'll tell you what, before I left that courtroom, I told myself, I'll do every last minute of that sentence, and I'll never use drugs or alcohol again. And I've never looked back. I've never used.
Wow, 25 to life. If you add that time up and any other time you found yourself inside of some type of institution, being pretty much, in my opinion, getting told what to do oftentimes, how much time do you think you gave back to this system in total?
At least 23 years.
Damn. And you know what people don't realize is, Joey, is that you say you look back at your family. So you're going and you're spending 15, 20 years, 23 years away from your family. And you're not the only person suffering or being rehabilitated or going through this system. Your family is experiencing the same pain and hurt without you being in their life.
These young people, I want to say this, your homies, the ones you were loyal to, the ones that you said, I'm down for mine and I'm not going to tell on nobody. And guess what? None of your homies are going to come and visit you in that visiting room. 99% of the time. You know who's going to come visit you? Your mama. The one that you decided you didn't want to listen to. You want to listen to your homies, and all they're doing is leading you into a prison sentence. But your mom, who loves you, is trying to look out for you. That's the one that I wished I'd have listened to.
That's good stuff, Joey. Since we're talking about prison, you know, people have an opinion about prison, right? People, I think they get this idea what prison is like from looking at Hollywood shows and watching these fake ass movies, thinking that this is what prison life is like, and you think it's fun. Can you talk to the youngster or anybody, maybe even an adult that's still on the fence right now, and they're taking these chances about what life is in prison, like in prison. I mean, I'm sure you've been to a lot of different high-level prisons. Can you share which ones and tell them what life is like in there? Some of the bad things you may have seen or heard about.
Okay, well, because of the 25 to life sentence, I was sentenced to level 4 prison, and I was a non-violent dude. But guess what? When you got to that level of prison, it's nothing but violence. Right. You see people getting stabbed. You got your own race telling you you're going to go out to the yard because it could possibly go down. Now you have to defend yourself. You're out there in the mix. You're having to deal with politics that you may not subscribe to.
Absolutely.
So there's different rules within each race. And my point is that all I can say is that if you don't like being told what to do, you might want to either get real slick at stealing or slick at what you're doing or quit. And don't cry when you go, because you're going to have your own people telling you what to do. You're going to have the correction officers telling you what to do. You might want to reconsider your choices, because it really comes down to choices.
Most definitely. Most definitely. You know, Benjamin Franklin once said something along the lines of don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today, right? Can you talk to the people about when you start working on yourself in prison? Was it towards the end of your time in prison, or was it towards the beginning, or at what point did you start working on Joey?
I started working on Joey when I got my sorry ass up out of that level 4. Mm-hmm. When I got to Solano, I got into prisoner outreach program, helping youth. That was the only program they had. And I played music. That's all I could do to better myself at the time. It wasn't until I got to San Quentin, where they have over 70, 80 self-help groups, and they afford you that opportunity to change. You know, it's still a choice, but that's when I started working on myself, is when I got to a lower level prison where I could breathe a little bit.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You know, I'll let the audience know, you know, full disclosure, I met you when I was I came to visit San Quentin prison and do some motivational speaking. I had an opportunity to speak at a No More Tears program that you were involved in the prison. And I think it was a graduation. And you came up to me and you told me some things about the program. You told me you were becoming home soon. And you told me that you're never coming back to that place. You told me a little bit more about yourself. And you said, when you come home, you're going to stay home. And, you know, you hear that from a lot of people, you know, doing time and running into these prisons. I volunteer my time a lot. And, you know, you rarely ever see the people when they come home. So it's kind of hard to judge, you know, what they're doing with themselves. Before I get into how I see you the second time, I guess I would ask you this. What plan did you have for yourself before you left the prison?
And my game plan was, no matter what the situations are that come up for us, for all of us out here, that I was going to address each issue in a healthy and positive way. And it all had to start on the inside. I had to start making better choices on the inside, and I had to start exercising this new way of thinking and a new way of being, and my values began to shift. You know, once the values shifted, you know, in the Real Choices group I was in for youth, it's about aligning our values with our attitude and our behavior. You know, if our values don't line up with our attitude and behavior, well, then there's something we need to go back and look at it.
Right, no doubt.
You know, and so I had to look at all that so that I was prepared. That was my biggest thing. There's no sense of me getting out of prison if I'm not prepared to be a healthy community member.
It's funny that you say this. You said it all started on the inside. I'm going to play with them words a little bit, because it started on the inside of you as well, right? You talk about on the inside of prison and on the inside of you, right? So it all ties together. You started working on your inside while you were on the inside, which is pretty deep. I like that, but that's how it goes, right? Listen, Mike Tyson once said, though, everybody has a plan until they're punched in the fucking face, right? He said something along those lines. So let me ask you this. All right, now that you're out on the streets, right, you had to put your plan into action. Did you run into any hard time? If so, how did you stay focused?
I just went back to a couple of things I realized that I kept telling myself was feelings come and go. So I'm not going to attach myself to feelings. That doesn't mean I don't have them. It just means that I'm not going to run with them, you know. So when something was discouraging or something didn't go my way, I had to step back and take a deep breath and go, okay, well, you know what? It's going to happen when it happens.
Right.
You know, I mean, if I could stand in that canteen line for 4 hours
Man.
To get me some little garbage,
Yes, sir.
you know, you mean I can't stand at the DMV? What am I going to get mad because now I'm a free man? I got choices. I can do all these different things. Like I could stomp my feet, get mad, pout, cry, go run off, forget about it, don't do it. No. As I matured, it's about hitting it head on, everything.
Right.
You know,
Right.
everything. And I learned how to use drugs a long time ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? I learned how to use drugs as a coping mechanism.
Mm.
You know, but as when I got clean, I couldn't use none of them things. Believe me, you know how stressful it could be in prison.
Oh, shit.
Dealing with crazy ass dudes.
Right. Yeah.
You know, one
Yeah.
minute the guy's your buddy, next minute he's ready to snap because his girlfriend broke up with him on the collect call.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Let me ask you, Joey. I don't know if you recall. I remember, but let's see if you remember. After I met you in prison and at the No More Tears program graduation. Do you remember the next time you and I met?
I think it was at the PAC meeting. It was the PAC meeting for parole, and you were doing some work. They're trying to help guys in the college program.
That's right. Yeah, and it was good because I was speaking. I was talking about getting people into college and things of that nature. You know, they just coming home from prison. And after I finished speaking and things of that nature, you walked up to me after the meeting and said, "Hey, you remember me?" And I looked at you like, "Damn, I do remember you." And It was really good to see you, man.
Likewise.
It was funny because after you and I were talking, you had said you wanted to get into college and things of that nature. You and I, offline, were able to try to get you into Berkeley City or one of those colleges. And you would call me periodically and check. You know, if you recall, you would call me and you and I would talk.
Yeah.
But what really hit me was that the next thing I know, you working in probation, man. Good job, man.
Well, I mean, I gotta thank number one. I hate to say it like this, but thank San Quentin for affording me the opportunity to make the changes and then learn how to facilitate and get some skill sets to be able to help people.
Right.
And that was huge. Right. And so when I got out, I went back to court and I got out under 1170 D1, which is recall of commitment offense. So I didn't have to do the whole 25 years. I didn't have to go in front of the Board of Prison Terms. I got out through the court. That's a long story. That's another story in itself. Right. But the bottom line was I had no job prospects, but I knew I had a lot of people in my network because of all those volunteers, people like yourself and Keith and Rodney and, thousands of volunteers that come in every year to San Quentin. So I knew I had a network of people. And so, because I didn't have no job prospect. Right. And then that's when Chief offered me the job. Well, she said, "I'll call you." And a month later, she called me and offered me the job to do what I'm doing.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So I'm like, I know how to do this. I was doing this on the inside.
Right. No, that's good, man. That's good. No doubt about it. I think that we need more individuals who, with the lived experience, to be working alongside and partnering with the law enforcement, because people like you and I, we can connect to people that's in that lifestyle still, right? Unlike a law enforcement officer or your probation officer, nobody really want to talk to them, but people will talk to you because you know where they're coming from. And so I think that's a great thing that our county tried to jump into and has been doing.
Well, I love the look on people's face when I go into East Oakland delivering hygiene and clothing.
Right.
And everybody's looking at me like, "Man, what's this white boy doing up in here?" This dude, like he must be a cop.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I talk to the individual, when I give them their stuff, I blow their mind. The look on their face when I tell them, "Look, I've walked in your shoes, bro. I may not have walked in this particular neighborhood.
Right.
I've walked in your shoes. I've been to jail, prison, juvenile hall, YA, the whole 9 yards." And then all of a sudden we have all of a sudden the conversation changes.
Good stuff, Joey. Can you talk to the people about some of the things that you do for probation in your role?
Okay, I was hired for two purposes. One, because I had that lived experience and the people that I work around the people that are the policymakers, the people that are in contracts with the different CBOs, basically the internal workings of the probation department, wanted somebody who had that lived experience so they could learn how to better serve our clients. That's first and foremost. So that's the one part of it. The other part of it is I get to connect with people. I get to go into the juvenile hall and teach a restorative justice class. I get to do press conferences. I get to do anything that's positive, that's going to shed a positive light on us. I'm part of that, just like what we're doing right now today. This is all part of community outreach, giving out clothes, starting a clothing closet, doing hygiene, getting vouchers, getting, the DPOs don't want to go into East Oakland. So I'll tell them, you give me the gift card. I'll have the client sign for it. So that way they get what they need, because that's what first and foremost, because if they get what they need, then victims don't get, then we don't have people getting victimized.
Right.
So
DPO. I'm sorry to cut you off, but the DPO, somebody may not know what that is. Can you tell me
I'm
that?
sorry,
The acronym stand for?
Deputy Probation Officer.
Okay, most definitely.
Okay, their caseloads are disrespectful, number one. So they can't give the attention to each and every client that's on their caseload. So that's where I come in. I can have that 20-minute conversation to find out what's been the barriers, what is it that we can get you to do, what are you willing to do, and then go and explore all the different options that the probation department has to offer. To create a gray area, a larger gray area for them to choose from. So then they can go to their deputy probation officer and say, sir, I want you to enroll me in this class. I want to go get in that class. Well, I won't call it probation. Like, let's say you're a client and we're talking. Whatever we talk about is our business. Whatever he talks to his probation officer about, that's their business. So that's how I keep the street clean. And then at the same time, because trust is earned, right? We got to win the people over. And sometimes it's one person at a time. Sometimes it's one deputy probation officer at a time. I still have to try to win probation officers over. And the main thing is that I like to say, closed mouth don't get fed. Right. So if I'm well informed and I know what I want, because I just talked to some guy for 20, 30 minutes and we went over everything. Now I can say to the DPO, I want you to enroll me in this class. This is what I want for me. As opposed to the DPO going, well, I got 2 minutes with you, dude. What do you want to do? I'm going to go ahead and just put you in this program or that program. So that's why we have a high failure rate. So many people get referred. Only half of them make it through halfway through the thing, and then there's only 2 that graduate. That's a problem.
Oh yeah, that's very problematic. Yeah, no doubt about it. So Joey, somebody right now is watching this, right? May see it at some time in the future, and they're going through some hard times, right? They're at their lowest point. Maybe they're addicted to drugs. They're trying to fight that addiction, or maybe they just don't know where to turn because they've been going through so many hard times, not finding a job and things like that. What piece of advice would you give that person to give them to the strength, the mental strength to recover, pull through, and strive?
First of all, you gotta be sick and tired of being sick and tired of your situation. And when you get to that point, then that's when you have the courage to ask for help. And the help could come through AA, it could come through NA, it could come from an old high school coach that you reach out to. He always was a straight shooter with you, right? And you know that he'll help you as best he can because now you're willing to accept that help. And I say this, your probation officers nowadays, they're more like case managers than they are cops and robbers. You know what I mean? I know a guy, somebody we know, who that parole agent he's given him at least 4 or 5 chances.
Wow.
And he hasn't violated them yet. Before it was, let me just violate this guy, just get him off my caseload. That's just fewer people I got to deal with.
If you had an opportunity or the chance to go back to the age of 14 or 15, maybe years old. Would you change anything? Would you do anything differently?
Yeah, listen to somebody.
Right.
Being of service like you are. You've been of service ever since I met you.
Appreciate it.
You came and you served up there at No More Tears. Then I see you serving at the parole office. I see you serving all over the place. Cab, you're the cab guy. You know, you're the executive.
Yeah, I'm a little. Yeah, I'm spread thin. You're right, Joe. I'm all over the place. I appreciate it.
But I mean, but the thing is, you understand that. I just felt an earthquake. You feel it?
I didn't feel it.
Wow.
If someone wanted to find you, right? You have people that's on probation right now. They have family members that have a son or cousin or somebody that's on probation, and they don't have a good relationship with their DPO, and they didn't know about you, right? So now today they learned that you work within the work inside the probation department. How would they get in contact with you?
That's J Mason at acgov.org. 510-599-4955. I'll talk to you about anything you want to talk about. Let's talk about solutions. My job is to help that person help themselves. Let's empower people. Let's encourage people and empower people to be the best versions of themselves. And I got clothes, I got hygiene. You're able to finally get you a place of your own little spot. I can get you furniture.
Good stuff.
Free of charge.
Good stuff. Speaking of that, just so people know, man, if you don't mind sharing, you've been home for how many years now, Joey?
I've been home. August 20th will be 3 years.
3 years. And what did you just do, man? You just did something big, man.
I saved my money for a year and a half, built my credit for a year and a half, and April of this year, bought my own house.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Straight out of prison, man. Let's go. Can't nobody tell me you can't accomplish the things you want to accomplish, man. Good job, Joey, man. Look, I'm going to let you get out of here, man. I got your hookup. I'm going to put it in the video. And I want to thank you again for taking the time out to come on. I used to be a criminal, and show people once a criminal is not always a criminal. So stop it with that fake ass drama that people say.
Well, thank you, Kamala. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for coming. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.